This is from Nick Cabinus. It's instalment number 5. These are sections of communications between him and Blessie, who died just around Christmas. But it raises some interesting points. We don't yet see things clearly. We're squinting in a fog, peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. We'll see it all then. See it all as clearly as God sees us, knowing him directly just as he knows us. But for right now, until that completeness, we have 3 things to do to lead us toward that consummation. Trust steadily in God, hope unswervingly, love extravagantly. And the best of the 3 is love. That's from The Message by Francois Dutoit. Get hold of that Bible. I mean, lots of people revile it, but it's a beautiful thing. Certainly for certain types of people that really click on its resonance. It's beautiful. When I first heard you talk about the homeless, I listened intently because I could hear God's heart and compassion in you for them. But when you made it clear that this was not a task that you'd be supervising from home, but one you intended on taking part in on the front lines, I heard God's calling that you were responding to in faith, not to mention taking action with the food you bought. You had never looked more radiant and beautiful to me than on that day, the day I saw God in your eyes. And when the circumstances of Helen's gift to us emerged, and you were in the hospital a few days, you characterized that really as a Jonah-like experience, and that you were eager to get back to what God had put in you. And I believe I heard God when I wrote the following primarily about you. You've already gotten out of the boat. Good. You're now feeling some waves that make you want to return to the boat. Do not. Just look intently at me, and I will calm the waters. More than that, I will accomplish more than you ever dreamed possible. This is what you were born for. Maybe the wail came late in this story, the wail of the suffering you felt as of late, though really a lot longer. And I think it's caused you to doubt this whole story. I'm here to affirm that it's true. This is something God has given you, not for heaven, but for now. You told me that I don't know what it's like to be in your place. It's true, I don't. And I couldn't have made it so long if the roles had been reversed. You're right about that, and I was insensitive to that today. I'm so sorry for that. But I'm not wrong about you, our marriage, about what you've meant to me, about this whole journey in the Philippines. But don't you see, it's all led up to this, God's calling on us. Though I understand wanting to escape the pain, yet you'd be doing it in the greatest chapter of our story together. I wouldn't ask you to stay for just a retired life with me. I couldn't put you through pain for just that. I want to walk out this calling together, finding out who God really is and watching how great his love for us is for us and through us. This is the only chance we get to know him by faith. No faith will be needed on the other side. And I just think you'd regret that even in heaven. To trust him in the dark is more precious than anything to him. If you leave, I'll be okay. I'll continue to follow him. But it would be the honour of a lifetime if I could do it with a healed you. She never really answered. Her immediate response was, I don't know what to tell God. Later, as the pain grew worse, she accused me of losing my mind. I hate that we never really finished that conversation. I hate it when I wake up, as from a new state of shock, to realise she's gone. She's not downstairs. If I call out, I won't hear that familiar voice. Hey, big man. I'm not big by American standards, but to her, in her tiny little frame, I was big. Listen to her description before we ever met. Hi, Nick. I'm not good in making you in love with me, and I'm not lucky when it comes to love. That means the guy that I like or love usually fades away. If I'm a stranger to you now, well, I'll tell you some things about me. I'm just a 4'11" person. 4'11" person. With huge lips, big black eyes, short and skinny legs, brown skin, Filipino, living in an island and in love with Mr. Cabinet. He's a person with no vices, love and fear God, and smart. You can't resist not being in love with him, right? The thing is that I haven't seen him yet, but in my heart I know he's a special person. Anyways, I was looking at our mails today and thought of sending you this one. I hope it will make you smile tonight. Good night, Blessie. This young, sweet but idealised version of love was to be tested by many hurts and betrayals. Yet by infinite grace, in the end, I somehow remained big man. I love you, big man. I readily share her words because it's a way for me to talk about her when I really want. What I want to do is talk to her. What would I say? Please tell me what happened with you concerning the homeless. 2 days before Thanksgiving, she received the revelation that she would be walking the streets, reaching out to those in need. This woman, think of it, who was unable to take a single step in the natural. I'd never seen such boldness in her. If I could just finish that conversation. Just this morning I was crying out to God, I can't get to her and I hate this pain. He said, that is the conversation. We don't want to admit it, but it hurts so much because we don't really believe we'll see them again. We believe death. Real grief confronts that fatalism of the soul. And face it, that pain was always where the good stuff was. All the good times, the wondrous times, the funny times, the precious mundane, were all built on the back of bile that choked us and that we ran from until we couldn't. This is the conversation we get for this time because the soul cannot comprehend the eternal. That ignorance set up a sting of grief that can only be bridged by his spirit in our spirit and in their spirit. It was always the conversation that mattered most here, and it remains the most important one while our souls and bodies remain clueless. That ache, the unanswered question, again and again, pushes us to the painful dialogue that will yield fruit here and ultimately there. Blessie is, with each pang, still talking to her big man. It's too personal to sort of read this, but yeah, at the same time, my answer, which is about the bigger subject of, the more encompassing subject of, the helps ministries and how they are to operate. I just felt I better read out the first bit that triggered it. But I what can you do with two people who are in love? I mean, they know each other. Anyway, I hope that was okay. To me, this is generating something bigger than our previous forms of helping. But what is this? This pain and agony, and there's something going on there. There's something going on about the way she received that revelation, and then she spoke out that word of faith, and it won't come back void. You just know that Nick's inside something, and don't really understand it, but so. To me, well, it's like an intercession. If you understand about the intercession things, there are these crazy things outside the run of what can be readily understood, which is Hebrews 13:13, is you go outside the city and you feel some things that Jesus is wanting to birth somehow. Even if you can't quite express it, you just feel that inside you. I've lived in Bible House. What I haven't shared too much is that at one point we endeavoured to be two things at once in the one house. This was 40 years ago. It had a Bible college element, right? But the emphasis was about transfer of life, of Zoe, getting this stuff lived. So we did have lectures. It was quite an all-rounded experience. But we weren't a Bible college like it, traditionally understood, with exams and things. Basically, when the Holy Spirit said leave, you could leave. A seeking God house, where we were going through a very real but preliminary Romans 6-8 thing. I could expand that sentence hugely, and I have done, but this is about these things. A bit of a rehab place for Parisian street folk. So a seeking of God house and a bit of a rehab place for Parisian street folk, including a bank robber, people pulling off drugs and sex. I had a friend from school who'd become an alcoholic after his parents split up. Unfortunately, his drink led to stealing, and it was unfair to put the others through that. Some 5 communities had 2 sets of houses, but on the same land. There's great stability in rehab places in the routine of growing things, developing land and caring for animals. This was their forestry. See, some of their stuff was in Alaska or in jungles. But we were just in a big house. People are people. So this is talking about helping people, getting, bringing aid to people, setting them up. People are people. And with some of the Africans, Peter Blessie has found training jobs for people. George, by the way, if you convert Muslims, because he's in a Muslim area, if you convert Muslims, they will shun you. So the normal things that they would, any community would have help with, just shunned. So Peter would go the extra mile to try and set people up in something. With some of the Africans, Peter Blessie has found training jobs for people. George Wanyando and I set up one woman with a chips business. That was his neighbour. He said somebody had a simple house built. Fred Otieno leads people to the Lord and goes into prisons. Some extraordinary stories of Muslims have started happening that we gave Bibles to. See, God has very big things lined up, Nick. He's promised for years a wealth transfer. And it's real too. It's not pie in the sky. It's real. Pete Mester Pazer has $34 quadrillion. The issue isn't the money. It's having enough Tabernacle's roof with holes infrastructure in place to cope with the changeover from pyramid to more Amish-type self-sufficient groupings. Perhaps like the internet, we will be overlapping circles of interest and skills. Who knows how body under one head works, or Ephesians 1:10 works? There's a 4th quartile brought up by 2 mark types. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, yeah? 2 mark types. All I want to scream is, it's a darn sight more than handing a cup of water or being a tin-rattling Methodist. Each person is a God person, finding out why they're here and how they operate. Frankly, the 1st and 2nd levels of Christianity are trash at this. Jesus absolutely refused to let anybody at all out on the world until there was a hub of cross-spectrum, grounded Galatians 2:20 people. The only reason is he's allowed several things and winked at several things for 2,000 years. It's because there was nothing else. Doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's functional, doesn't mean it's doing much. We're just confirming to everybody at the moment that Jesus cannot run his own church because everybody's divided. That's what we're telling people every Sunday. So until, he absolutely refused to let anybody out on the world, until there was a hub, a cross-spectrum in all the personalities, grounded Galatians 2:20 people. It's absolutely not good enough to be Salvation Army. Many are born again, so that beats Christian Aid. But there was a reason the gospel message went out and a core was taken right through. So the Gospels was first of all preaching to multitudes, preaching out the words so as to attract a people, the 120 and the 12, and then a core were taken right through, and then there was City on a Hill. They were saying their houses weren't their own. It says God sets the solitary in houses. The third level gospel has grounding. People don't jostle. They can see the Lord and do what he's doing. Signs and wonders are in there somewhere. Gatherings are in there somewhere. But it's up and running Zoe life. All it takes is a few to crash through Romans 6-8, to crash through 1 Corinthians 12, 14-26, which is the dysfunction verses. And there's a living home of God to come into. Now, whether that home is we all live in a mansion or dotted all around a city, Jesus in us, as us, is viral. It's in the heart. The outer forms, well, they're not meaningless in the sense they're meaningless, but it's meaningless. It's just a vehicle. It's holding something in the life of God. But how it looks, how we do it, how we get led into it, doesn't matter, does it? Is God going to use outer forces to put us in 15-minute cities so we start learning? Or is that a Berlin ghetto trap to be avoided at all costs? There's life outside Pyramid. There's life outside Black Rock, Vanguard and State Street. The mutually owning companies that own the whole world. Sam 5 and the first generation, our own Jorge Pradas, hadn't quite got it. Both were still definitely Pyramid. Kingdom is not Pyramid, but it's not as invisible to the eye either as the current Union believers. They haven't lived Bible House. They haven't lived Sam 5 communities without Norman Grubb clarity and very strong presence of the Lord. But we kind of knew it nearly worked. So we've got that assurance that, with some more foundations in there, we'll literally have the foundations the disciples had. The satanic cult type shape is the order of man, our addiction with pyramids, our desire to slope shoulder, to call someone Zeus and Hermes, like those Acts people. This shape, this pyramid-y thing, it brings in a foul dynamic which blocks the wide variety of the grace ministry giftings. In a proper church like Jerusalem, money flowed. Tons could be helped. The frustration of all helps ministry in Africa is this hard-reaching first base. Water. Yeah, boring a simple water hole. Working some land. Installing solar lighting which keeps thieves at bay. We are inside something massive that isn't just silly modern Methodist games. It's the giving of the substance of the gift of Christ with some outstanding stuff, actual stuff, to help set people up so they can learn the thriving supply walk inside God's frequencies. We're not just a bunch of marks giving stuff. We're also carrying the kind of Kenneth Copeland gospel, but maybe not so that they all pay us. But, that belief in the supply. This is why Jesus took Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all the disciples out for walkies in Matthew 5 and 6. It's the only way they could be impacted. The birds of the air don't struggle and strive. Bushes don't strain to look as pretty and nice and flowers and all this stuff. So that's the supply walk. So we're not just teaching, here, have some stuff, or even practical abilities. We are teaching supply faith. This is a realm. This is God's heart. It's outside the worry that chokes it all, the fear that chokes it all. Sorry it's so long, but I'm trying to clarify so much from becoming atheist through Methodism at 12, and then too barrenly spiritual in the charismatic, I'm washed, I'm ready for bed, it's from Song of Solomon, landscape, into vocalising why it's better now, why this thing's going to work better than our first stabs at third level 40 years ago.